Welcome to the Aligned and Amplified podcast, where we sit down with entrepreneurs, consultants, coaches, and business leaders to explore what's actually working in business today. Each episode pulls back the curtain on the strategies, lessons, challenges, and breakthroughs that shape successful businesses, helping you gain insights you can apply to your own journey. I'm your host, Jaime Ellithorpe, founder of 540 Strategies. Today, I'm joined by Dave Moravec. I'm excited to dive into his story, what he's building, and the lessons he's learned along the way. Welcome to the show, Dave.
Thanks for having me, Jamie.
Absolutely. I'm excited to learn more about you. So let's get started. Tell us a little bit about yourself, your business, and who you help.
Yeah, absolutely. I've been entrepreneurial most of my life and owned and ran technology and printing companies for about 35 years. The last 6 years, I've served as a local Chamber of Commerce executive, president and CEO here in Cincinnati, Ohio. Recently retired and am specifically hanging my shingle out as sales manager for Rent and furthering my authorship and continuing to write books. So that keeps me busy in my 64th year on the planet.
Yeah, well, that's exciting. So I'm curious, it sounds like you've had a successful career. You've had some great time in the chamber. What inspired you to hang your shingle?
Well, I've been doing consulting for some time, and I needed to have something to do with my mind. So many people when they retire sit on the couch or, just play golf. I couldn't do just that. I wanted to be able to share my experiences with others, be able to help them and their companies grow or morph into the next phase. I've been involved mostly with startups and with challenged organizations. So I assumed that those that know, like, and trust me over a period of time were going to introduce me to others. And that's actually what's happened in my first 6 months.
Well, that's wonderful. So you've talked a lot about introductions and relationships. So I'm curious to know, what are some of the biggest milestones or defining moments that you've experienced over the last 6 years in growing your business?
Well, the Chamber of Commerce growth happened as a result of me moving to Cincinnati 6 years ago. I took over the Chamber of Commerce in March of 2020, just as COVID hit. And when a lot of businesses and a lot of chambers of commerce were taking their foot off the gas, so to speak, we actually pushed the envelope further, pushed the accelerator down. We increased our visibility in the community. We increased our networking events. We increased the value associated with being involved in the Chamber of Commerce. And I see that as something that a lot of business owners aren't thinking about when times get tough. Over the last 6 months or so, centers of influence, Chamber of Commerce leaders, CPA firms, financial planners, they're directing business to me because they know that I could help a specific situation.
Yeah, yeah. Well, thanks for sharing that. You mentioned visibility and now getting people to direct business to you. So I'd love to delve a little bit deeper on that topic. What do you feel like you've really figured out when it comes to getting other business professionals to drive business your way?
Well, I think there's probably two things. One is helping them to understand who your ideal client is, your ideal client profile. Because when you say you can help everyone, it just clutters up the mind of the individual that you're talking to. If you're talking to a CPA firm and you can help anybody from 2 employees to 1 million employees, that's everybody in their client base. But if you can focus on, who specifically are in your vertical market or in your geography or in your psychographic profile, you're going to be able to help those centers of influence identify the people that you're going to best serve. The second thing is continuing to be top of mind, either with gratitude, with your social media, with your marketing, to be able to stay top of mind and be relevant, but in not just being relevant, be able to show your impact that can affect those businesses. If you're just sitting back and saying, when the business comes, the business will come, it may not come. You have to do the things because there is so much noise in the marketplace. There's so many people out there doing fractional leadership, fractional C-level consulting, that you need to continue to be top of mind.
No, absolutely. Well, you shared a lot of great insight with that answer. I'm curious to learn, what do you feel like has been surprising over the last 12 months about growing your business?
I think the most surprising thing is that the individuals that have come my direction haven't necessarily had an aha moment yet. They're still considering whether or not they need help, when in fact it just seems very apparent that the help is needed. I can't give you a specific example, but in general, I think that there's a testing of the marketplace that says, hey, I wonder if this guy can help me, but maybe this gal can help me, or this other business can help me. Maybe I need, and there's so much clutter that's out there that indecision seems to be top of mind.
Yeah, I totally agree. And you're reminding me of a recent conversation that I had this morning. So I'm curious to get your take on it. If professionals like us are being considered amongst a handful of peers, what do you think makes all the difference in winning that bid or winning the business for that particular client?
Ooh, well, I think first off, being authentic, being yourself. I think if you're trying to fit into somebody else's box, that's not going to play well. If you change your North Star, so to speak, to fit everybody else's RFP or their request or their fit, probably not gonna be there. Secondly, is being responsive. It's so easy in today's busy society for us to forget to return a telephone call or reply to an email. The last company that I was with prior to the Chamber of Commerce, we identified that if we were responsive within 15 minutes of an inquiry, either on the phone, an email, or a web form, that our customers, 3 out of 4 of them, did not call a competitor. And that sets apart your business from all the others that are out there. If you respond 24 hours, 48 hours, a week later, oh, sorry, I didn't get to it. What tone does that set to the start of the relationship?
Well, thank you for sharing your insights on that, because I think it's a struggle that a lot of businesses have. So, turning back to your business, it sounds like you've made some really great relationships. What part of your business do you feel like requires the most attention, energy, or focus right now?
I think it's a balance. It's something that I've said to other fractional consultants or those that are building a practice, is that there's a balance between delivering the services and actually client generation, the business development side of their business. It's less of a challenge for me because I'm not looking for a full-time effort. I'm doing this on a part-time basis late in my career. But if I was 20 years younger, the biggest challenge that I hear is that there's an ebb and a flow of that business development side coupled with actually delivering the services. So, finding a way to carve out your day to be able to do both, to not be reliant upon one or the other and have the dry spells versus the wet season, so to speak, is a challenge for many of the people that I talk to doing what we're doing.
Yeah, absolutely. Well, thanks for sharing that. I think it's definitely a pain for a lot of people, especially in the consulting space. I know you've had an amazing career, so I'm curious to learn about where you're moving forward. I know that this might be a second profession for you since you've already retired several times, but I'm curious to learn, where do you see your fractional business going in the next few years?
Yeah, retiring multiple times, not really quite accurate. Retiring from working for somebody else, specifically a board of directors in the Chamber of Commerce, comes with some freedom. It allows me to be able to play competitive fast pitch baseball and to play golf, but also to keep my mind active and to be able to travel to see kids and grandkids in other parts of the country. One of the things that I focus my attention on, Jamie, is authorship. I have published three different books. I've just finished a copy on a fourth book that I'm not sure where it's going to go and where it's going to lead. And I have outlined other books. I'll be in Chicago for the Printers Row Lit Fest coming up at the early part of September, and I'm excited about promoting Echoes Across the Tracks. We relaunched it last month in July, and am excited to get it out there, for more people to read.
Yeah, that's wonderful. It sounds exciting. So, talking about the book promotions and just clients in general, what do you think is the most important thing to focus on in your business right now for bridging the gap of where you'd like to see that readership and promoting your books, where you might see your client acquisition goals going in the next few months to a year from now?
Yeah, when I wrote the book, and it's called Echoes Across the Tracks, when I wrote it in 2024, there wasn't an intent to use it as a thought leadership. It was written as a fun story, as a historical piece based on many of the lessons that I've learned. In fact, the subtitle of the book is Life Lessons Through Unexpected Connections, because you never know where you're going to meet somebody. Today, people look at me a little bit differently because it does say author on my bio. It didn't say that 2 years ago. It said business owner because I owned a printing business and sold that business after about 12 years. I led as CEO and president of multiple companies and accomplished many things along the way. But authorship, it changes the landscape, so to speak, with individuals that I talk to. And it's a conversation starter, quite frankly, and it's a business card that I can send out to somebody and they can get a glimpse at me before they actually, would engage with me. I think the statistic is 70% of all businesses are looking at your social media. They're looking at your LinkedIn profile. They're checking out your website. They're searching on AI for your background before you even have a conversation. Well, if they've seen my book, boy, it changes the level of engagement right off the bat because not everybody's published a book. A lot of people I talk to say, "Oh, I really would like to, write a book or publish a book," and I might ask, "How long have you been thinking about that?" And they might say, "Well, it's been about 10 years." Well, if they haven't done it in 10 years, the likelihood of doing it in their 11th is not very good unless they change the behavior. If you continue to do what you're doing, you're going to keep getting what you're getting.
Yeah, I love that. Well, talking about becoming an author and changing your title a little bit leads me into the next question that I was curious about. What are you hoping that your messaging, content, and your visibility efforts are currently communicating about your business?
Yeah, the idea of being present is so important. I'm giving a keynote talk tomorrow to a Chamber of Commerce, and my messaging is to take your earbuds out, to put your phone aside, be present, and be looking for the ability to communicate. The younger generation specifically has this tunneled vision. They're focused on their device. They're focused on what's in front of them, when what is right in front of them are personal relationships that can and will make a difference if they build those relationships. But if they're not willing or open to having that first conversation, it blocks out so many other opportunities. So I'm continually pressing that message forward that people can meet through referral relationships and through Zoom calls across the country, across the globe. The technology has allowed that to take place, and I'm furthering that message. And my hope is that others will see that and actually get up and do something with it.
Yeah, absolutely. Well, my next question to you is about misconceptions. I know
Mm.
sometimes when people hear that word sales, it's like a four-letter word. And for a lot of people, the fractional space is kind of a new frontier. And I think people don't necessarily understand what that is. So when it comes to your business, now's the time to give our audience some clarity. What exactly is a fractional sales for hire leader? What all can you help people do?
Yeah, I've turned my business sales manager for rent. You can find me at salesmanagerforrent.com. And I've had the website for 12 or 14 years at this point because I'd never liked the word fractional. If we divide ourselves and we only get this portion of Dave, we're not getting all of Dave. We're getting just a portion of it. Well, the word fractional means a fractional part of the time, not the fractional part of the person. And so many fractional CFOs and CEOs and CIOs that I've talked to pour themselves into their clients. And I do that from a sales perspective because I have 40 plus years of sales experience. And that 40 years allows me to look at things a little bit different. There's no cookie cutter approach for a business of size or that's challenged. And that ability to use all of me for just a small period of time gets the best of both worlds. You don't have to make an investment of somebody for a hiring decision. You don't have to put a contract together for a 6 month engagement, but you can take advantage of the knowledge that that individual has. The biggest thing for me, Ellie, is the ability to take someone or their business for a test drive. If somebody comes in for a 10-hour engagement, and at the end of 10 hours, they go, well, I really saw value in the leadership that Dave provided or that you provided. I said, Ellie, Jamie, the leadership that they found in that 10 hours of consulting can exponentially raise the bar for their business. And they can choose to continue that relationship or choose not to. When you hire somebody for a 40-hour work week for even a 3 month trial period, that can get very expensive, both from a financial perspective, but also from a time perspective, because you've now wasted a potential season of your business. So bringing a fractional consultant in really can be a benefit to your business, especially when you haven't grown to the point of needing a full-time CFO. Um, and that fractional CFO can use the experience that they've had across multiple clients for your benefit. If you hire somebody who's done general accounting for one company, that's all they know. They just know the stuff that's there. Fractional CFOs or fractional consultants like yourself and myself bring a wealth of knowledge from a variety of clients and client experiences that can benefit the client that's in front of us.
Yeah, absolutely. Well, thank you for sharing that. You have so many years of experience and insight. I'm curious to know if you could go back in time and give yourself one piece of advice that you now know today, what would that be?
Well, actually, there's two. Do I have to choose?
Nope, let's tell us both.
Well, the first one is patience. In my younger days, I was not a very good manager. I was not a very good boss. And if any of my employees, past employees from the first 5 years of my leadership, I was not a patient man. I demanded much more because I set my bar pretty high. And what I found today is that giving people grace for their situation is something that's a gift that allows somebody to grow. I've seen so many companies today, especially in the last 5 years, cut their salespeople loose because they have not performed. Business owner is expecting the sales to turn around 180 degrees in the first, in the first 90 days. And when the salesperson doesn't perform, boom, out the door they go. We'll get the next one in here. The second thing that I've learned, Jamie, that has really proven beneficial is the ability to change industries. Because somebody is a salesperson today who, as we'll just make it an example, I've never sold cars. But I've certainly bought my share of cars over a period of time. But many car dealerships would never consider me as a potential salesman or sales manager or sales leader because I didn't have sales of cars in my background. And we retread. I don't like that word. We repurpose. We repurpose salespeople within a single industry and pull them from our competitors. I was one who was willing to do that back in the day and hire somebody because they had printing experience or technology experience, when in fact, what I really needed were people that built relationships. And those salespeople who are best at making relationships and building strong foundational know, like, and trust relationships can cross industries. And I think those are probably the two biggest things.
Yeah. You mentioned something interesting in your answer about a 90-day window that a lot of businesses are anticipating miracles to happen with a sales team. And I've always thought about marketing and sales as hand in glove. So part of the work that I do is I find the right people to talk to for my clients. And part of what you do is take those conversations and turn them into paid business. So I'd like to talk a little bit about what are the realistic expectations that a small or medium-sized business owner should have if they're starting a completely new strategy, let's say today, where they're looking for new prospects and that timeline for it to actually be paid business in the door.
Yeah, that's a really good distinction because you can have significant differences made within a first 90 days. They may not be material in closed business, but they're changed from a relationship building perspective. So oftentimes when I look at a pipeline on behalf of a first time client, I'm asking about their ideal client profile and how much of that business has been a wish as opposed to a concrete sale. Because you can continue to fill your pipeline. You can grow your pipeline double within a 90-day period if you just go put out proposals. But if they're not going to close because you don't have the relationship, that's the key. And so, in working with that ideal client profile, we may actually fire some of those opportunities sooner rather than later. And so, the look within the first 90 days is significantly different and may allow some business owners to consider now focusing on those best opportunities. And in turn, then within 30 days, 60 days, 120 days, whatever that time period is that it takes to build that level of trust with the client, all of a sudden they see the individual business, the individual opportunities within the pipeline changing their percent to close. I'm more likely to close this one at 80% when 3 months ago I thought it was dead in the water. But because I took an individual out to lunch or we played a round of golf, I learned this, that, and the other about the opportunity, and now I have a significantly higher chance to close it. Doesn't necessarily mean that the business is catapulted to double the sales within 90 days. It just means you're looking at your business differently at that 90-day period.
I love that. Thank you for sharing that, because I think that's oftentimes a big misconception that businesses have. So, well, David, it's been a pleasure having you on the show, and thank you so much for taking the time to share your insights and your learnings and your understandings and providing some real value to our viewers. So I'd like to know what's next for you, where people can find you, and where can people connect to learn more about your work.
Yeah, certainly. Salesmanagerforrent.com is the place to find me. You can find me on LinkedIn through my LinkedIn profile here in Cincinnati. I'm a Chicago native, and I'll be back in Chicago for this Printers Row Lit Fest, September 12th, 13th, downtown Chicago. 50,000 people on the streets of Chicago looking for good books to read. But I've also coined a phrase called peaceful profitability. And so many small businesses, specifically 5 to 25 employees, are struggling with work-life balance in conjunction with profitability. So I've written a small fable called Peaceful Profitability with a business owner who doesn't necessarily have a succession plan. And I'm excited about what that means from a publication standpoint, and to further that mindset. Work-life balance today, if you're working 16 hours a day just to get to profitability, you may be giving up your family life. You may be headed for divorce or not being able to see your kids play Little League. But if you're not profitable at all, you're 99.9% assured that your business is going to go out of business. So we have to find ways to get to profitability peacefully, and so I'm hoping to be able to affect small businesses that way.
Wonderful. Well, thank you for taking the time to be on the show. We've enjoyed having you.
Yeah, thanks for having me.